Hello, what's up, everybody? My name's Kevin Dufresne. So I've been receiving questions throughout the years, but the reason this question is very important, specifically, I'm gonna just bring those questions into one question. It all comes down to, Kevin, how do you relax? And the reason why I'm answering this question is because a lot of people talk to me and honestly being like, I don't want to compare situations, but they'd be in like pretty decent situations, but for them it'd be stressful. And so them knowing my situations, just like, especially through adjustments and just growing and putting a lot in front of me to do and getting a lot of things done, it's about really just bringing that answer out forward and sharing it with other folks. So I'm going to name some of the things that I do to relax, okay? So one of the things I do to relax is read. I think it's very important to read because when the book comes in front of me, it's just calming to get into that other story. And it's not really a moment of escape, right? Sometimes people think that experience creativity is simply an escape. Really, I think it's just a part of the mind growing and expanding and having a new area that is not necessarily an escape, but it's like a contribution. There's something in that realm that can help someone to really, really grow. And at times, sometimes, the answer is in a creative endeavor, which is a part of the reason why I enjoy reading. Besides just experiencing someone else's writing and how stories put together and how the pages turn and how the book smells and feels. And yeah, I do get into the fonts and the different styles of pages because some people really, when publishers get into the books, they really unique and provide that full-on experience. So that's one of the things I enjoy doing is reading. Another point is to creativity. I think it's important to find some way to express whatever a person wants to express. I remember speaking with just different majors, honestly, majors that really don't have a huge focus on reading content and deconstructing it and breaking it down. People that specialize in fields outside of what might require, like, I don't want to say someone wouldn't read technical reading for leisure, but out of a more fictional or non-fiction, technical is pretty much non-fiction, I would think too, but still, people that don't necessarily read, let's go with fiction, I find that it's interesting for them to actually have an interest in wanting to create fiction or to create stories, to just share with others, to get whatever it is that they have in their mind, in their being, onto the page. And the reason why I think that's so cool is because from so many different disciplines, I think that writing is accessible to people. And it's just not the fact that people can write so that they should write, because everyone writes in a different way. And so whether that might be someone writing on napkins and potentially creating a story through there, or figuring out how to make a story with grass, blades of grass, that's something that is unique and special, and it's just a part of expression and creating. So it's not necessarily just about the writing aspect, but it's about the creating aspect. Now for me, yeah, I write. I think writing is relaxing. Once the writing, whatever I want to put down is put down, then I do feel a sense of relaxation coming on. I do feel a new sense of calm. I do feel growth, and that's the reality. I think that extra point where people call relaxation or being calm is just the fact that a new part of the mind is just like, thanks for letting me breathe. Thanks for letting me be in the way I want to be. And I think that is so important. That's the reason why I think just expression, I think creativity is very important. And finding the ways to express yourself, especially when, you know, it's growing and positive, is really, really helpful to the self. So that's another way that I relax, is writing, creating. And yeah, reading was the first one. So the next way is obviously, well, I'm gonna say obviously, but I enjoy playing video games, right? So video games, I like open world games, or like MMORPGs with more responsibility. People that do enjoy playing RPGs and MMORPGs especially know that playing an MMORPG is not necessarily out of the question. It really depends on the MMORPG and if it caters to the 9 to 5 schedule that a lot of people might be on. Just because if someone's on a 40-hour work week schedule / overtime, then trying to play an MMORPG and being good at it, like competitively, especially if you get into the story and into the community atmosphere, that can be really, really time consuming. As fun as it might be, as relaxing and calming as it might be, it can be time consuming. But the benefits are the experience of this different stories. There's like multiple short stories that you play through, a very immersive experience. The open world is fun. You get to explore with other people, so there's the social aspect, and you really never know who you're gonna meet. I actually remember playing an MMORPG and meeting a professor. He was the head of their department, and we'd have so many interesting conversations. And this is when I was in high school, so imagine, you know, how many more developments can happen as you play later on. Now, the thing is, like I say, it is time consuming. So how that professor was playing with us, like he wouldn't be on all the time, but he'd play reasonably enough, and he enjoyed the game, and we had a good conversation. Now, I'm in high school, I was killing that game. And so that would like set an example of how, you know, when you have more responsibility, you can play so much, and you don't. So like, I was basically twice his level, but it's just. But also at that point too, I was like up at like 2 in the morning. Like, I don't have papers to grade. I'm giving the teacher 1 page, you know, to grade, and they're getting a whole bunch from other students. And so you can imagine that difference, where that professors get dealing with college work though, and their schedule, their department. And I'm just a, you know, student with so many responsibilities, just like way less than that. So video games are really cool. It's just a completely different type of immersive experience that I really appreciate, and I will most likely always play video games. Always find some time to play them. So the next thing I like to do to relax is, is actually just rest though. Rest is very important. So it's like rest / sleep. So when I say rest, that doesn't fully mean sleep. Rest at times just means like finding a chill spot and just laying out or curling up, like whatever is super comfortable, but just closing the eyes and just letting the mind relax and letting everything in the body just relax. It's just like you can get into a really super chill mode doing that, and honestly, it feels so good. I mean, sometimes I'll just lay in the blankets in this silence. Sometimes, you know, I'll just lay my head back and I just close my eyes, put my head on a desk, and I won't even fall asleep. I'll just rest. And that's so important, I think, to helping people calm and find a point of relaxation. Because sometimes things just are like foghorns right in your ears, and they're spinning around. Like, so imagine foghorns going around, and it's like, and then once you rest, it's just like, then you open your eyes again. You know, it helps. So the resting obviously is a good time to think. It's a good time to sort the thinking, to say that I'm here now, and there's only so many things I have to focus on. And that's the point of resting, really. If you want to go to sleep, then you just need sleep. That'll help too, a lot, but resting helps sort immediate thinking, and it's really, really useful. The next thing I like to do to relax, I train. There's different forms of training for everyone to do, and I do multiple forms of training, and so that helps me relax. That helps me enjoy myself more, enjoy what I'm doing more, enjoy my life more. I'm telling you, if you can figure out what you enjoy doing in terms of some type of physical exertion where you can grow your body physically, also it contributes mentally, soulfully, spiritually, then I think proceeding with that avenue is great. And so I really encourage a healthy lifestyle. I eat well, and I do encourage just living a healthier lifestyle and adding some training regimens to your schedule. So let's see. The next thing I like to do to calm myself and relax is also go to the movies. I really think going to a movie theater is huge. Now, if you can get into a space where you can watch a movie by yourself, and you have to be in that setting. You have to create the film's atmosphere so you can immerse yourself into it. It's not as immersive as video games, but it is something to just hear that soundtrack and to embrace the story that's coming, and you're with these characters or these depictions of these characters for this moment. So it's so important to just be able to be in that experience. And the reason why I say the theater, because some theaters, depending on the crowd, can get wild, and some can be very chill, and sometimes they're just empty, which is nice too. But they have the nice couches, the darkened room. You can lean back in the chair if you're at a theater that allows that. I tell you, it feels so good to just get there. Sometimes, I'm not gonna stunt, I fall asleep in the theater. I have only fallen asleep during one film recently. That was Holmes and Watson in the middle, but I think that was because I ate some mozzarella sticks, and I just really needed some sleep. I was gone midway through that film, and yeah, I woke up, it was empty. But I was grateful that I got to take that nap. So the theater, I think, is a really good space, but just getting into a movie, in the sense of going to a gallery, it's like going through a creative experience that pulls you away from your norm. Unless you can walk by every single tree and appreciate its difference down to the very vein of the leaf. I don't know if you're going to get into the cells, but I'm just saying that's an idea. That's what is really occurring. True new development in an experience far from what you're normal to, far from what's normal to you. Unless it's just got to be something that pulls you away from what is normal to you. And the next thing I'm going to tell you about is walking. We're talking about trees. Walking, I think, is so important. I'll go on an hour walk. Sometimes, just pick a destination in the town. Just make the walk count, right? Because that is the time to think. Make sure you go on the walk ready, like with the proper attire. If you have to put the mask on to make sure the fumes don't interrupt your breathing process while you're walking, do it, because I think walking is so important. I think it's so helpful just to break away from the spaces that can seem confining at times. And when that happens, it's like, you start to realize, at least I realize, there's so much, not simply just to be grateful for, but just to realize in the grand scheme of life that no space can really confine you once you walk outside. And even when you're inside, like, nothing should confine your mind. Nothing should confine your being. So when you're outside, you know that, if you don't already know, it's like, you're free, I'm free, I'm free. It feels good. And it also is good because walking really gets you like out of that zone. Like sometimes being in a space for too long can put someone into a zone. And it's not that it's a bad zone. It's just like sometimes it's not like a necessary zone to be in. It's just like, all right, because I'm going to leave here. For the work example, it's like I'm going to be here for so much that I'm going to leave here. Now, this space should not affect my work. This space should not affect how I feel throughout the day. I might have some emotions I'm going to have to deal with leaving this space or while I'm in this space, but let me handle them and recognize that these things are not lifelong lasting, right? So that's what the walk is for. The walk helps relieve that sense of confinement. And I think that's really important, especially for people that have, to spend a lot of time in particular spaces with other people that feel certain types of ways and might be relaying that energy off of themselves towards others. And it's like, bruh, I'm not the one you're mad at. So another way to relax, I think, is just talking with someone. Finding someone that you can really, really talk to about pretty much anything is really, really cool. I think that having that type of avenue for a discussion is so helpful because, not everybody wants to talk about everything and not everybody feels comfortable talking with, everyone about certain things. But then you have those few people where it's just like, am I able to really talk to this person about it? And that is so, so important because conversation, conversing is important. Discussing certain topics is important, and you don't always want to go on the internet and find that answer. Even if you find the answer on the internet, sometimes it feels so much better to just talk about it with a person. Isn't that interesting sometimes? I don't know if that ever happens with you, but I know for me, when I'm like, if I look for certain information on the internet, I'm like, I look at the answer, and then I'm like, but then if I talk with someone about it, then it's like, word. Or it's like, for real? And I get this whole different situation, this whole different type of stimulation that is so helpful, and it feels good. The other way I think is good to relax is, and inclusive to the watching movies, and inclusive to the training, I think it's good to have, watch a show or something. Like, I like to watch my anime too, and that's pretty chill. That could be relaxing while I'm doing, other parts of my training and whatnot. So I think that's something to think about in that mix of watching a film or watching or training, watching an anime. I'm just saying what I do to relax, trying to answer the question to the people that ask me, what do I do to relax? And I don't really, I don't really watch TV too much, so that's why it's like mostly like movies and then like a recommendation for a show. Or anime I'm more prone to go to naturally than picking up just a show. Yeah, unless someone says, hey, you should check the show out, it's fire. I'll be like, alright, I might check it out. And then I'll probably give it a season or two. So, let me think. Another thing I think can be relaxing, at least it's like relieving to a degree, right? It's because as a person that, obviously has been with significant others, before, I think it's important to be able to have that experience with someone. And it's a tough conversation to have because there's so much going on the internet that to look at, images that can stimulate a person's mind. I don't want to say sexually, and I don't want to say it's completely feeding into lust either, because I feel like the lusting aspect would be like a constant need Whereas I feel at times if somebody looks at, there's people online obviously that are going like having live sessions that are adult, and that is a avenue to kind of like not really connect with someone physically, because you can't force that on anybody, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm trying, but it allows a person to be like at least in real time with someone else, and they're doing like, and they get to see some like it's so they get to see someone else showing them their body, and it's like, oh well, there's someone out there that's willing to share themselves with me in that capacity. And so I think that I don't feel really weird saying that. I know it's not like I know there's way worse things being said on the internet, but like masturbation honestly is something I think that can be relaxing for. I mean, I don't really do it like that, to be honest, but there's like maybe like once a month or something. Different when you're with somebody versus when you're like digitally with somebody. And I don't pay for any of that stuff because it is free. But still, it's very important to be aware of what you're watching, be responsible, and it's not. I think that really can be. I don't think it's like a bad thing, but I think that it can impede on certain people's growth. So you gotta be mindful. Like, I'm me, so I understand that, hey, if that occurs like maybe once a month, maybe if that, then that's not something that's like a life like that's not like my way to get like a wife, right? That's not my that's not my deep like long connection or anything like that. And I'm not someone that's been on like Tinder or anything like that. Like I remember like I would go on those things just to chat with people and try to go on dates and stuff. And then I'm just like, yo, this thing's time consuming too. I'm not gonna stand. I'd rather just chill with people playing video games than do all that extra hunting. I think that's like thirst trap life. Anyway, so I mean, but I had some decent conversations though on there, but like those things, it just is like I'd rather talk to a girl in person. And the reason why I say that is because that most recent suggestion for relaxation is because I think people do want that intimate connection. They do want that physical connection. And it's just like, you're not like, let's say your soulmate is in a country 5,000 miles away from you, then it's like you really, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, you're not really seeing that person. Like, the chances of you seeing that person are like, I mean, whenever you cover those 5,000 miles and potentially meet that person or somehow interact with them on the internet and they're like, oh snap, and that somehow works out. But those chances, I mean, they're great. I mean, I feel like the social climate is very interesting. These social dynamics are interesting because, like, I reach out to a lot more women, I want to say, than that reach out to me. And maybe that's just a part of the, I don't know, maybe that's just the way it is, for real. Like, maybe that's just the way it is. I'm really trying to think. Like, in college, I remember running into a lot of brave girls, and they were just like, what's up? And I'm like, oh snap, that's cool. And I really appreciate that, even more so now that I'm older. And then, like, now it's a little, like, there's some more mature women that do that, and I respect that too. I'm like, oh snap, yo. And it's not an age thing at all, not really. It's just more like, cause how I am. I'm not like trying to like just feel me like, but I am into having that conversation, into being able to speak about these things, with it's like having like that girl best friend. You feel me? Anyway, so yeah, I think that relaxation point helps keep dudes at like a chill, which I think is very important for dudes to be able to just be like, all right, you know, we can have these conversations, and then it helps keep how you say, a balance. Like, because if a girl's not really like ready for any of that stuff, then that's just another avenue for a dude. Just, and it goes for the girls too, but I'll speak for the dudes. For the at least for me, it's a good avenue to just be like, oh, okay, we can have this conversation like about anything else, and like I don't feel like that physical aspect is something that I'm gonna like rely on her for. Like, I don't feel like that's a need that she feels at all pressure to give. I know, but then you can like you can enjoy that presence way more. And then if there's a time when she's like feeling intimate or feeling like she wants to get intimate, then I'll be ready for that, and then I'll know when she's ready for that. I don't think it interrupts the emotional / spiritual connection, but some people, like I said, like I remember one time someone asked me about their friend in the marriage, with an addiction to porn, and I was like, dang, that's rough. You know what I'm saying? You got to really get with the program at that point, especially. People got to be talking, and I'd have to really talk with that person individually to really understand, because then that's when you really get this is what's going on, this is why I do it, this is how I feel in the relationship. That's when you really get into the mental processes, because from the distance, that type of conversation as well. Because for me, I'll be like, okay, well then, why don't you just stop, and why don't you just he should just talk with her. Since she's willing to help, she should talk to him about what he's trying to do. Since she's like willing to do those things, and he should just be like, all right, and work with that, because that's what he agreed to. That's what they both agreed to, and that's what they working with. But yeah, so I don't think it's for everyone, that avenue. I think in that same regard, the other thing is just go to sleep. Just try to close your eyes and just try to go to sleep, because sleeping does wonders. I tell you, it's awesome. So another way I relax is listening to music. I think listening to music is calming. It depends on the music you want to listen to. It just like takes the mind like into another journey, and the beats sometimes are rocking. Just the way the development of the music happens, I think it's cool. And if you can find a sound, I think soundtracks, like to video games, to films, soundtracks, because if you see that visual aspect, and it's like you don't really have time to watch the whole film and sit down there, but you get the soundtrack and it's so on point, it's so good that it brings you back to the game or to that film, then I'm like, yo, play that soundtrack. It's just like, oh man, I remember that part. Oh snap, that's good. And then I think it really helps. Just that's why I like soundtracks a lot. When it comes to like albums, yeah, I like albums too. I'm looking for some good content. I like certain albums that I go to, then I'll come back to. But yeah, actually, there's some mixtapes out there that are fire, that are like albums that I listen to. So yeah, I definitely appreciate the music, and of course dancing. If you can dance, do it. I don't care how it looks, get it done. I don't know where you're gonna do it, but find a place and do it, because dancing is relaxing. It can feel like training sometimes, but it's definitely a relaxing point. And what else would I do to relax? Sharing stuff with people, like poems, like that's part of the creative process though, I think. So really the creative process is a relaxing area, so I think that should be something that is the sharing aspect should be a part of the creative part of relaxing. Yeah, so those are all the points on relaxation, things I do to relax. Oh, something else, I cannot forget this one, because I naturally do this. It's just like researching and learning. I know researching, like it's so relaxing to learn more and become more aware of the world around you and the world I'm living in. It feels great to just be like, because here's the thing, the more I learn, the better I feel. And you know what? Learning is something that's so cool. I mean, that just expands the mind even more. And through these experiences, you should learn more about yourself and more about the world around you. And I think that's a part of, like, a huge part of my relaxation efforts, is that most, if not all, those things really bring me to a different experience, a different growth, a different area of assessment every time. So I think that's so important. And, you know, if you can implement some of these things, if you feel that they work for you, then that's great. That's really cool. And yeah, hugs, showing love. Yeah, that stuff is relaxing. All right, I'm about to hit the library right now, so I think that's a fair assessment of things that I do to relax. Yeah, and I actually have to walk to the library. It's gonna be like a 20-minute walk. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you take this information and do something with it that's good and positive, whatever you feel that may be for you. I'm heading out, and yeah, thanks for watching if you went through this whole thing, because you know, this is how it's gonna be. Unedited, unscripted, all for the growth.